Have you ever felt like you're sleepwalking through life, like you're on autopilot, going through the motions without really understanding why? If so, you're not alone. In fact, this state of unconscious living is more common than you might think. But what if I told you there's a way to wake up and truly experience life in all its richness and complexity? I'm Mark Roach. Welcome to Transcendent, my platform from a perspective formed from a journey around the world through life, crossing the wide spectrum of human experience from high to low, at least as most people in American society define them. This channel is all about inspiring common people to find their power and place their uniqueness in their lives. Today, we're going to explore a fascinating concept known as the work, a system of self-development that has its roots in the teachings of George Gurdjieff and was later expanded upon by Ouspensky. This powerful approach to personal growth offers a roadmap for awakening from our metaphorical sleep and truly engaging with life on a deeper level. At its core, the work is about becoming aware of ourselves and our place in the world. It's about questioning the assumptions we've held for so long and challenging the habits that keep us trapped in a state of unconsciousness. But why is this so important? Well, according to the work, most of us are living in a thick, nauseating atmosphere of our own making, taking everything for granted, including ourselves. Think about it for a moment. How often do you really stop to question why you do the things you do? Why you react the way that you react? Why you feel the way you feel? If you're like most people, the answer is probably not very often. We tend to move through life on the surface, liking and disliking, loving and hating, without ever really examining the deeper reasons behind our thoughts and actions. This state of unquestioning acceptance is what the work refers to as being asleep. And it's not an easy state to break out of. In fact, it's often takes significant pain, unpleasantness, or shocking experiences to jolt us out of our complacency and into a state of real feeling and thinking and being. Now, you might be wondering, what does it mean to really be, to really feel, to really think, to really live? Well, it's not about figuring out how to get ahead in life or how to outsmart others. It's about turning your attention inward and beginning to observe ourselves within a state of honesty and clarity that most of us have never experienced in our lives. The process of self-observation is at the heart of the work. It's becoming aware of our own patterns of thought and behavior, our own biases and the blind spots. Let me tell you, it's not always comfortable doing this process. In fact, it can be downright painful at times. Sometimes you ask for it and sometimes it comes to you. But it's through discomfort that real growth and awakening is possible. One of the biggest obstacles to this kind of self-awareness is what the work calls pictures of ourselves. These are the idealized images that we hold of who we are and who we think we should be. They're formed by our imagination and reinforced by our vanity, and they can be incredibly resistant to change. Think about it. We all have ideas about who we are. I'm a kind person. I'm always rational. I never lose my temper. But how often do these ideas actually match up with reality? More often than not, these pictures of ourselves prevent us from seeing who we really are and how we really behave. The problem is these pictures are so close to us, much part of who we think that we are, that we often can't see them. It's like trying to see your own nose without a mirror. It's right there in front of you, but you can't quite get it in focus. This is where the work comes in. It acts as a mirror, reflecting us back to aspects of ourselves that we might not otherwise see. And let me tell you, it's not always a flattering reflection, but it's through this process of seeing ourselves clearly, warts and all, that we begin to awaken. Now, it's important to understand that this awakening does not happen overnight. It's a gradual process that unfolds over many years. At first, the work might feel like something external, something we study and learn about. We might take notes, draw diagrams, ask questions about terminology. But if we stick with it, if we truly engage with its ideas and practices, something remarkable begins to happen. The work starts to penetrate our understanding. It moves from being an external concept to an internal reality. And when this happens, it begins to change us from the inside out. It starts to point out aspects of ourselves that we might not have otherwise noticed before. At first, these insights might be mild, easy to brush off. But as time goes on, they become more distinct, harder to ignore. This is where things can get uncomfortable. We might find ourselves trying to avoid these insights, to push them away. But once the work has truly taken root in us, avoiding it only increases our inner difficulties. We begin to realize that we can't do without it. That being deprived of its gentle current of new meaning is worse than death. This might sound dramatic, but it speaks to the profound impact that the work can have on our lives. It's not just about learning new concepts or techniques. It's about fundamentally changing the way we see ourselves and the world around us. Now, it's worth noting that this process of awakening isn't always smooth or linear. There are stages to it, and each stage brings its own challenges and rewards. At first, we might find ourselves talking a lot about our difficulties, sharing our insights with anyone who will listen. This is part of a natural part of the process, but it's also a sign we're engaging in the early stages of understanding. As we progress, we often become more silent, realizing that our talking about our difficulties isn't the same as working on them. We begin to internalize the work more, to let it permeate our daily lives in subtle yet profound ways. One of the key practices in the work is something called self-remembering. This might sound simple, but it's actually a complex and multifaceted practice. At its core, self-remembering is about becoming aware of ourselves in the present moment. It's about stepping back from our automatic reactions and observing ourselves as we interact with the world. Self-remembering can take many forms. It might be as simple as pausing before we react to a situation, taking a moment to observe our thoughts and feelings, or it might involve consciously choosing to act in alignment with our deeper values, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. The goal of all this work, according to Gurdjieff and Ouspensky, is to develop what they call balanced man. This is someone who's developed all the aspects of themselves, intellectual, emotional, and physical. It's all about becoming a well-rounded individual, not just excelling in one area of life at the expense of others. To achieve this balance, the work encourages us to educate ourselves broadly, not just about studying one specific teaching of the work itself, but about engaging in all kinds of knowledge. As Ouspensky put it, how can you expect to come into the possession of great knowledge when you have made no effort to get to know any of the ordinary knowledge that's accessible to everyone? This emphasis on broad education serves several purposes. First, it helps us develop a more comprehensive understanding of the world, which in turn helps us better understand ourselves. Second, it gives us a basis for comparison. It allows us to see how the teachings of the work differ from and transcend ordinary knowledge. But perhaps most importantly, this broad education helps prepare our minds to receive the deeper teachings of the work. It's like preparing the soil before planting a seed. The more we engage with different types of knowledge, the more fertile our minds become for the growth of new understanding. As we progress in the work, we begin to see that everything in life can become a teacher. Every experience, every interaction, every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. This is what Gurdjieff meant when he said, all life becomes your teacher. Now, I want to be clear. The work isn't about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment. It's not about becoming superhuman or transcending all of life's challenges. Rather, it's about engaging with life more fully, more consciously. It's about waking up to the richness and complexity of our own experience. This process of awakening isn't always comfortable. In fact, it can be downright painful at times. We might find ourselves confronting aspects of ourselves that we'd rather not see. We might have to let go of cherished beliefs or long-held habits. But it's through this process of confrontation and letting go that we truly begin to grow. The work offers us a path to a more authentic, more conscious way of living. It challenges us to look beyond the surface of our lives, to question our assumptions, to engage more fully with the world around us. It's not an easy path, but for those who choose to walk it, it can be profoundly transformative. As we come to the end of this exploration of the work, I want to leave you with a challenge. Over the next week, try to catch yourself in moments of automatic behavior. Notice when you're reacting without thinking, when you're falling into old patterns. And in those moments, try to pause, take a breath, observe yourself, make a note. This simple practice of self-observation is the first step to the path to awakening. Remember, the journey to self-discovery is ongoing. It's not about reaching a final destination, but about continually expanding our awareness and understanding. Each step we take towards greater self-awareness is a step towards a richer, more fulfilling life. I'm Mark Roach, wishing you all the best.